Greetings, everyone. God's man MJ here. Fellas, I need to get in your face with this one. Husbands of God, you are called to be pastors and priests in the home, right? You got to stop letting your wife run amok in the home, making the decisions. And what I mean by that is making decisions that would jeopardize you getting in trouble with Yahweh, getting in trouble with Abba. Like, look, I know that how can I say this? There's this thing that they say that happens with women, and it was from the fall of man, from Adam and Eve, that there's always going to be like this controlling spirit on the women, not just the pain during childbirth, but there were some other character behavioral things with the ladies, with the women. I've heard it several times, spoken, etc. I don't know. I haven't asked God about true confirmation on if that is true. But by my experience in life and dealing with women, etc., it ain't too far-fetched that's an issue with women. They want to control. They want to control. Just something in them they want to control. And that's not God's order. That's not God's order. But fellas, man, you got to beware of women that have you do stuff that goes against what God has told you to do. She's your helpmate. If she telling you something that goes against what God told you to do, you know what God said to you. You know what God told you through and through. It's been confirmed 3, 4, 5 different ways. And here come your wife in her flesh or whatever. She just don't like it. Can you imagine if Abraham didn't trust in God and he believed Sarah and didn't take Isaac up to get tested? You know what I mean? There's for real. So you got women of God, supposedly seasoned. They taking charge and leading their husbands out of churches. Got their husbands because just that girly high schoolish, cliquish, just beehive behavior, with these women in the church. Got a divide going with they gossiping. And now, like, when you think about it, most trouble in groupings stem from the women being catty. It's always the women. Men could get along. There's only a couple things that have a man beefing. And unfortunately, one of those things is jealousy or envy over a woman. But the other one is typically, and this go both ways, in the streets, anywhere, in the boardroom, wherever, with men, a jealousy of money and power. And women, that's the trifecta right there. And it's always a woman that'll cause. There's been more women that got more men killed or in jail. So this is real, man. Numbers don't lie. So fellas, husbands of God, like, man, you gotta be more afraid of God than you are your wife. And if your wife, if she manipulates you and say, oh, the wife, woo, woo, like, look, I'm a side with you when it comes to other humans, but I ain't siding with you when you going against God. When you going against Abba, like, nah, man. And fellas, you better pray like, man, Lord, you deal with her. Abba, have mercy on my wife. She bugging, she tripping. Abba, have mercy on her. Have mercy on her. For real. And man of God, husbands of God, like, she shouldn't be punking you. You know, she shouldn't be punking you, man. And I'm not saying, and again, this is coming from a place like, men, be gentle. Love your wife is Christ loved the church, without a doubt. Be gentle. Be loving to your wife. But when your wife start talking out the side of her neck on the things of God and what you know the fruits of the Spirit are, how you supposed to behave, how you supposed to treat other people, you know, the holiness that you're showing, etc., etc. In my opinion, if you got a wife that's not matching your loving energy like that, then you don't equally yoke. That's just me, though. That's just my opinion. If my wife ain't lovable like me, if I'm not lovable like my wife, and I've seen it. I've seen some mighty men of God, fivefold ministry dudes, fellas, good gentlemen, and their wives. I'm like, oh, this dude, like, what's wrong with dude wife? Like, for real, mug, always on mean, just like, or just always murder mouthing, gossiping, just. And I'm like, dang, bro, I could only imagine what's going on in the crib, in the house. Like, man, it's like, it just shouldn't be that way. I'm telling you, how I live it, the way that God made me and the way that I am, the jovial, loving, etc. MJ that you see in public, that's how I'm in private with my wife. That's how I'm in private with her. She's my witness. I got receipts. She gonna see this video. I always send her my videos before I post them anyways. Run it by her, like, what you think, love? You know. And she gonna agree. That's how I treat her. In public, private, like. But fellas, man, you like, don't be spineless. Don't be a jellyfish. Don't be yellow bellied. You know, about the woman. And again, I ain't talking about lording over your wife and yelling at her and arguing with her and woo woo woo. You take that to God, like God. She bugging. Like, deal with your daughter, please, Lord. Abba, deal with her, please. And while she acting up or whatever, you just still love on her. You still love on her. Be gentle. And, you know, again, like, Lord, have mercy on her. Don't spank her too hard, you know. And for real, like, you got to stop letting these women, some of these women in the church, man. Fellas, and you got to stop wanting to marry or be with a woman for all the physical attraction. Physical attraction, okay, yeah, we gotta have that. You do gotta be physically attracted, but that should not be your primary reasoning, etc. Because you mess around and marry a half Jezebel, half Esther, and that ain't even a good combination. She should be all Esther, not half Jezebel, half Esther. No hybrids, no fruits of the flesh, fruits of the spirit. Like, you don't want that in a woman. She's supposed to be your helpmate, bro. She don't supposed to be in your ear spitting venom, telling you to do this, do this, do that, like Jezebel did Ahab. And Ahab was spineless jellyfish and went along with it. Like, fellas, come on. Like, come on, man. Like, for real. You better talk to God. Man, stop listening to these fellow saints telling you, oh, you guys make a good couple, you should get married. You don't know nothing about her. And you better pay attention to her. Pay attention to how she treat people, how she is. If she always murder mouthing people when y'all just friends and you just know her regularly, like, what she be on, what she be saying, stuff like that. Because you don't want to marry, and then it's to death do us part. You live in this word. It's till death do you part, and now you gotta put up with it. And I said this, and I shared this in one of our breakout sessions for our midweek service, that there are so many saints that are in loveless marriages. They may be godly people, they love Jesus, they serve the Lord, but their marriage, there's no real love in their marriage. They don't show it. It's just duty. It's just, you know what I mean? And that's bad business, because the God you serve is love. So how you don't love your spouse like you should? How you don't love each other? How you don't be lovable with each other? Those be like telltale signs. Like, man, you must have married wrong. Maybe that wasn't your wife. You shouldn't have listened to sister so-and-so or brother so-and-so, you know what I mean? But no, it's mostly the women. It's always the women trying to do the matchmaking more than the men. Men will say something here slick, we're like, man, what's up with over here? But, and keep it moving. But the women always trying to overly extreme matchmake, man, for real. So, fellas, you did that. Man, saints, you already know what it is. The hour is late, as we say. This ain't the time to be marrying wrong. This ain't the time to let your wife, your Job type wife, curse God and die type attitude wife, run anything. Run anything. She's just gonna be mad. She's gonna be mad because you obey God. Period. And you can't be afraid. Hey, look. What I'm about to say to you is, yeah. You better hear it. Hear me. One thing that I went with, I'm gonna be real transparent. I'm gonna tell you something real. When I was going through what I was going through, when was that? About 10 years ago now. No, a little longer. Closer to 12. I said in my prayer, like, Lord, your will be done with my marriage. Yes, I was married before. Lord, your will be done with my marriage. That was a tough prayer to say. And I wasn't really in the Lord then. I wasn't. So I was just going out on prayers and knowing, thank God I had a prayerful mom, and I seen, church folk growing up, all that. And I said it like, man, Lord, your will be done with my marriage. And that was tough. And then I went on to say, like, look, my wife wanted me to choose between her and God. Essentially, that's what it was. And I said, well, Lord, you can always give me a better wife. And after I said that to myself out loud, I felt some peace. I was like, dang, it's going to hurt because I loved her. But I felt peace when I said that. Like, Lord, you can always give me a better wife. If you take this one away, you remove this one, you can always, for my obedience, for my seeking after you, for me changing, for me living for you, for me loving you, you remove her, you can always give me a better wife. All things are possible with God. And he did that. But I had to trust him, make sacrifice, and get over my hurts, heal, all of that. Went through his process to become who I am today. You know what I mean? So you got to do that sometimes. And the hard part is when you're already married in a godly marriage, you guys both serve the Lord, etc. It could be a time where, like, God don't like divorce, but I know that there's some scriptures in there that say when he's cool with it, and the reasons that you can get a divorce if you want. But again, that's always based on God doing. What do you say? Let no man separate, let God do it. And that's what God did for me. I let him do it. So there ain't no guilt on me. There ain't no, he did that. He did it. And that's the same when you have when you're in a marriage 10, 15 years and all of a sudden she starts switching up. Or if it's the husband, he starts switching up. He backslide, like a 1,000% backslide. 1,000 don't want nothing to do with God. She trying to get you to do things that go against God. That's when you pray, like, Lord, what's going on with this marriage? What's going on with her? Is this an attack from the enemy? What is this, Lord? You know what you got to do. You got to pray. You got to fast. You got to put it before his courts of heaven to see what's what. And then it's, Lord, your will be done with my marriage. What happened to this woman? She used to be on fire for God. And don't think it's not strange that mighty men, mighty women of God that fell away from God and end up getting divorced. I know pastors that then got divorced because of whatever reason, and it be, the wives sometimes. Well, at least that's what this video is about. When the wives are out of pocket telling the husbands to operate from their flesh instead of their spirit, do what they want instead of taking it to God. And some women, they mad at God. They flesh got the better of them. Like, why God got us going through this? Why can't I have this? Why I want that purse, or I want that car. I want, women get like that. Trust me, I was there. I was there where I had to nicely, check my wife at the time. She wanted me to run to God and use him as my cosmic butler or my genie. Why don't you pray to God that he gives us a new furniture set? Why don't you pray to God that, we need a new dining room table? Why don't you, like, man, I'm not going to God over like materialistic stuff. Like, you pray for that. Stuff like that, where it was just like, God, God will show you people, like, hidden things you don't see about people. God will spring it up on you, and it's mind blowing to you. Like, dang, I ain't even seen none of this. But it takes God to bring all this stuff to the surface, what's hidden in people's hearts. And that's what it was. Everything was, the song say it was all good just a week ago. Like, and then all of a sudden this, like, where did this come from? Like, you get blindsided, man. Like, boom, in the back of the head. Like, I didn't know you was like, but it takes God. It takes, when you involve God, you be like, okay, you pray that prayer. Show me your wife. Show me her true motives. Show me, And then once he show you, it's like, dang. So, fellas, husbands of God, man, don't let, you already know your wife out of line. You already know your wife out of pocket, and you too scared to say something to her. Or worse, are you too scared to even take it in prayer to God? Like, a simple, like, God, I know what the word say. I know how we should conduct ourselves. I know this. My wife is wanting me to do the opposite of what your word says, want me to behave opposite of what your word says. I don't know what's wrong with her, what came over her. I know that there's some hurt, church hurt, whatever past trauma, but she's going about it the wrong way. God, deal with your daughter. Please, Abba, talk to her. Or Abba, show me, tell me, give me the words to say to my wife. Tell me what I should be praying for my wife. What should I cover? What should I cover over her when I pray for her? Cover her in what? Cover, like this is an attack of the enemy. What's going on? Show me, Lord. Reveal to me what's going on with my wife. For real. Because at the end of the day, it's always like God to be first between both of us. And when a woman or a wife that's having issues like that all of a sudden wants you to flip the script and put her first above God, you better take that to God and find out what the find out is. For real. Trust me. And then, fellas, you got to be brave. That fork in the road, when you got to choose, you would be like, man, God can always give me a better wife. For real. For real. And on another note, this is a side note, is that there are women of God, single women of God in the church that have this Jezebel behavior, narcissistic behavior, controlling behavior, etc. And you're not being found by a husband because you're not healed. Or your mindset or the carnality in you, the flesh in you, it disqualifies you from being a good helpmate. Just like God protects the woman, God protects men too. He protects the husband too. He's not finna give a husband that he knows that he has a purpose for in life a bad helpmate. Why would he do that? He wouldn't. Like, he gonna give you a good, unless it's a Hosea Gomer symbolism to show, something, but typically he's not gonna give you a bad just because. And some of you single women in the church, y'all selfish. Y'all just ain't ready. Y'all ain't ready. Y'all not healed. Again, you got all these carnal reasons. There's too much flesh. Too much flesh. And to be married, it's sacrifice and it's selflessness. A lot of selflessness. And there are women in the church that are very selfish. And then there's past trauma. Women don't trust God. And what do I mean like they don't trust God? They don't trust God that God will give them a good husband because of their past experiences with the bad men that they chose, or their married friends in the church running their mouth, murder mouthing their own husbands to the single women, and now the single women don't want to get married because sister so-and-so said her husband be doing this and her husband ain't on that. All that nonsense, bro. All that nonsense. And then you got the single women that, I'm going to just be single. And then they'll lie to themselves like, oh, God just wants me single. No, stop lying. Like, you just unfit. In your current state of your soul, your heart, your flesh, you're unfit to be a wife in this moment. You're just unfit. And he's not about to do a real true man of God dirty by giving him you when you're unfit to be a real Ezer Kenegdo a helpmate. Period. He gonna protect that man. He did it for me. Trust me. He did it for me. And I did right. I'm like, Lord, I'm ducking them. I'm paying attention to the ones. And then for my obedience, because I wasn't thirsty, because I could control my hormones, because I ran from secret sin. He blessed me with my wife. He blessed me with my wife, my godly wife. And so, fellas, man, married men of God, stop letting man let her run her mouth. She get mad, slam the door, whatever. But you better involve God in that prayer. Like, man, this the woman you gave me. Like, I'm doing right, Lord. I'm putting you first. I'm leading. She want me to do this. She wants me to leave the church. She wants us to leave the church because her friend go to this church and she want to go and be with her friend. Like, there's nothing God, she didn't say God showed me this, or she didn't confirm that you're in this, Lord. This is all flesh. This is just all in her humanity. She want to go here. Or she didn't like that the first lady didn't speak to her, or don't greet her enough, or didn't put her in this ministry, or didn't, and she want to leave because of that. That's nonsense. Fellas, you know what you do, but man, you got a spine, you got a vertebrae, you better lovingly disagree and say, hey, let's pray about this. Let's pray. Let's take it to God. Let's fast about this, and then see what she say. That's a telltale sign too. She don't want to pray about it, or she don't want to fast about it. None of that type of thing. Man, she be thankful it ain't, God still ain't on no pillar of salt action. For real. So, come on, fellas. Husbands of God, don't be letting her run you, bro. Like, for real. Don't let her run you like that. And I'm talking about with the things of God. Do not let her like run the house where it becomes fleshy and godless, etc. Do not let her run it where the order gets out of order. God first. You know his order. These seasoned saints, these seasoned women that know better. I'm talking about 10 plus years in the church, grew up in the church, second, third generation. Like, they know better. They know better. And then they be the same ones that get mad when they start experiencing issues in their bodies. Oh, why, God? Why this? That, like, because God knows your heart, woman. God knows your heart. God knows your heart. The hidden things, the things that the shenanigans you've been up on in the church, the excessive gossip and the backbiting and all of that. You know, you got something in you that Satan knows. So therefore, you know, you giving him access into your marriage. And then, you know, what about the kids? The kids see this. The kids see the mama in control, wearing the pants, mostly, you know, etc., calling the shots, shot caller on the yard type, you know, and you keep uprooting them and going to a different church here, going there, and gossiping and murder mouthing other saints right in front of your kids. Nonsense. That's not cool. That's not cool at all. At all. So, that's all I have. Fellas, I'm telling you, don't be no fool. Do not be no fool. Do not be a fool about it. Take it to God is always, for real. I'm thankful for my wife, my queen. I waited and God blessed me. He blessed me. For real. For real. You got to be real about it, fellas. For real. For real, for real. But remember,
MJ.